touchdown. What a catch by J.J. Birden.
Okay, fans, the Outsiders Podcast, Clint and Noah right now, and I don't even know what to say because I'm on the line with J.J. Birden, ex-Chiefs wide receiver, number 88. Welcome to the show, J.J. Birden. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great, Clint. Noah, appreciate you guys inviting me.
Oh, it's no. We are forever in your debt for you being on here with us today. And first off, I just want to go back because, of course, let's just face it, you were an Oregon Duck almost before it was cool to be an Oregon Duck. I mean, the Oregon is the it team. You're in Eugene, Oregon. Talk about your time there and how things have changed there in Eugene for the Ducks.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love how you phrase that. Oregon is definitely the team right now. And, the years I was there in the 80s, we were kind of fighting for respect. And I think we went, 1-9 my first year. Then we went 5-6, 5-6, and 6-5, and I left. But I like to say we were kind of the foundation. We were the beginning of what you see today because all of a sudden our recruiting got better. We got better athletes. We had more depth. And then, of course, Phil Nye kicked in, and the rest is history after that.
Can you talk about your draft day experience? I mean, you're picked up by Marty Schottenheimer. You get the phone call, not with the Kansas City Chiefs, but with the Cleveland Browns. So can you go through that, how that was for you?
Yeah, sure. Well, that was interesting for me because I was a track athlete at Oregon. I went up there on a track scholarship. I was going to the Nationals, going to the Olympic trials, and that was really my first, love, so to speak. But I got to the combine. I did well, and then I was drafted. I remember arguing with my agent. I was like, okay, I'm not getting drafted. I'm going to class. And he's like, you need to stay there, So I get this call out of the blue, and it's like, hey, kid, this is Marty Schottenheimer. I was like,
wow.
No, it isn't. But it was Marty, and Marty said 8th round Cleveland Brown, and so he drafted me, and I went off to Cleveland, and things didn't start out the way I wanted. I tore up my ACL, which ended my track career, but ironically started my football career, and I guess the rest is history from there.
What was it like playing for Marty in Cleveland? You first get there. What was it like playing for that legendary coach?
I kind of connected with Marty right away because Marty was kind of old school, kind of hardcore, intense and all that. But, Marty was a fair guy. You worked hard. You did your job. You had no problems with Marty. He rewarded you. But if you didn't do what you were supposed to do, obviously Marty was on you. And I enjoyed working with Marty. I learned a lot from him. He was one of the more diversified coaches I ever knew because he could coach every single position out there, which really impressed me. And so there's no mystery as to why I followed Marty to Kansas City.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to bring up next. Of course, in 1990, you wind up back with Marty in Kansas City, and you were part of 5 straight playoff berths. I mean, this was the golden era of the Kansas City Chiefs organization. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Talk about what it was like. I mean, you played for 3 different quarterbacks, and Joe Montana comes in '93. Like, there's just so much going on. But just talk about your time in Kansas City and some of your favorite memories from then.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed my days in KC. We had very solid teams. Getting to the playoffs was kind of like no big deal. It was expected. I mean, obviously our goal was to get to the Super Bowl, but I got to play with some pretty outstanding athletes. You go in, and all of a sudden you're playing with Steve DeBerg, someone who's been around the game a long time but still had some good years in. And then we get Dave Craig, once again a proven veteran. But I got to admit, when we signed Joe Montana and then obviously Marcus Allen, we were all very excited. I was a little surprised about that one. I didn't see that one coming. But I remember sitting in my first meeting and looking to my right and seeing Joe Montana, and looking to my left and seeing Marcus, and I was like, you got to be kidding. It took a little time to get used to being in the huddle with those guys. But there was definitely a new sense of excitement. We really felt that we had a team that could get to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, we lost to Buffalo after Montana got knocked out in that game. But, I felt good about the years in KC. We always made it to the playoffs. We had very competitive teams. And, Marty did his job. They say Marty Ball was this, that, or what. But the guy knew how to win. He knew how to get to the playoffs. Unfortunately, we never got to the Super Bowl.
Can you go back playing for Marty and those teams? I mean, the 93 team, the 95 team. I mean, can you just talk about times like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think the '93 team was extra special because one is, once again, you get these new players. I think the attitude, I think just the anticipation of us really going deep in the playoffs was something we expected, and then just the way we did it. I mean, we're playing at home against Pittsburgh, and I believe we were down, by a couple of points, and I remember someone blocked the punt, and then the game kind of turned around, and then, we drive at the end, and we win that game, and then we go to Houston. Once again, we're behind, and Warren Moon and those guys are running up and down the field, but we never gave up. We believed we could get it done, and Joe kind of led the charge. We came back, and I remember, guys, after that game, how excited we were in the locker room, and we were saying, just think if we win next week. We think we're excited now. Man, we're going to be just going nuts if we win next week. And unfortunately, that was the only setback. We didn't get to experience what it was like to go to the Super Bowl, but great memories for sure.
Well, and I'm going back to a game in 1994. You are on Sunday Night Football playing, of course, Joe Montana at the helm, and on the road at Atlanta, which you later became an Atlanta Falcon. But I seem to remember you catching a touchdown from Joe Montana and doing an early version of the Dirty Bird in the end zone. Do you remember this, or did I dream that?
I don't know if it was a Dirty Bird, but I do remember scoring 2 touchdowns in that game and being a little creative in the end zone. And I told my wife, I said, I think I performed too well in that game because after that, Atlanta was definitely after me after the season. So
we got to hold that against them then, because I think they not only took you, but maybe the Dirty Bird dance from you, because I think it kind of evolved from there. But you finished your career in Atlanta, and I mean, talk about your experience there. Was Kansas City the high point for you, or were there other great memories, of course, in Atlanta as well?
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. KC was really the highlight. It was, it's interesting because being a receiver, a speed guy, and all that, I always thought I would fit better in Atlanta's offense. I wanted to get in the run and shoot, and I figured I'd go from catching 40, 50 balls in KC to maybe catching 80 and 90 and get to a Pro Bowl. But I quickly learned that, there's 4 different receivers, there's one ball, and not everybody's going to be catching 80 balls. And I didn't really have the seasons I expected to have in Atlanta. So definitely, KC was the highlight. I would have loved to stay in Kansas City, and trust me, I tried to, but, they felt that, Atlanta wanted me a little bit more. But when I think of my days in NFL, I always focus more on the Kansas City Chiefs days.
There's a rumor going around that you are Marty's favorite. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think Marty and I had a connection, but I'll tell you what, I never messed up. I didn't, piss Marty off. I was always on time. I did my job. I did everything I needed to do, and I think that was probably one of the reasons why Marty liked me, because he could always count on me. So the guys used to tease me, but I said, hey, I don't know anything else but to perform at the highest level, and that's what I try to do there.
What about Marty's speeches? Let's one play at a time, focus and finish. Did people buy into that, or did they kind of start not really caring about that, letting it go by the wayside?
Well, I know when I was we bought into it. I mean, I can remember all his sayings, and my favorite one was "the system works." He'd say, "Hey, men, bring your lunch boxes to work because we're going to work. But trust me, guys, the system works." And he would say that, and you know what? I couldn't argue with Marty because we got to the playoffs every single year. So he had some good one-liners, but I definitely remember that one the most.
It was his birthday Sunday. He turned 69 years old. Did you connect with him at all or wish him a happy birthday?
69? Marty is?
Yeah.
Wow. No, I was not aware of that. I don't even know where he is these days.
Me neither. I can't get hold of him at all. We've been trying to get him on our show.
Yeah, no, that's. I want to go back quickly to Oregon. I mean, you were a smaller receiver for the NFL, a 5'9", 160 pound. I mean, what is it about the University of Oregon that has been so synonymous with track success? I mean, not only is it a great football school now, I mean, it's always been a great track school. Why is that?
Well, I think it's, because, the Ducks don't balk at the idea of a football player also running track. When I was being recruited in college, I had a lot of the major track schools that wanted me, and every time I would mention football, they were like, no way, no way. But Oregon was like, okay, maybe we could help you do that. We could see you doing that. But they said, hey, just run track the first year, and we'll take it from there. And they had a great arrangement with the football coach, Rich Brooks, at the time, which carried over to Bellotti. And I I guess, to Chip Kelly too, as long as the players spent, a certain amount of time in spring ball, they were all for the guys improving their speed on the track because they know it would benefit them in football. So one thing that people don't know, though, and I think I'm the only one that pulled this off, I only had to go through one spring ball all my years at Oregon.
Wow.
And now they have all their athletes at least go through spring ball, then do track, but I only had to do one, so that was pretty cool.
What are some of the strongest relationships you formed here in Kansas City? I mean, were you and Willie Davis close? What other players were you really close with?
Yeah, Willie and I were very close. I mean, all the receivers, of course, I was very tight with Keith Cash,
yes.
Damon Hughes, and it's amazing because now with social media, you can stay in contact with everyone. You're able to communicate with all your ex-teammates. I think, honestly, guys, I think the two guys that I probably haven't communicated with since I retired was Marcus Allen and Joe Montana. Those are the only two I probably haven't seen.
Wow. Well, and, talking about teammates, I mean, of course, you played with the legendary Derek Thomas. I mean, what were you doing? What were you up to when you got the phone call that he had been in the accident, and then later that he had passed away? And how was that? How did that affect you?
Yeah, I was. I think I was working at the time, and I remember, getting an email from a couple of guys. Did you hear about Derek? And I was like, what? And I went on the internet and did some research, and yeah, that was a bit of a shock, because here you've got this man, this massive man, this athlete who was just almost invincible, and to hear what happened, and then when he actually died, that was definitely very disheartening. You knew how much that not only his teammates, not only the community, but just the game of football really respected him as a person and as a player, and it was definitely a loss.
Oh yeah, we all miss Derek. Who was the toughest corner that you faced during your time in the NFL? I mean, was it Dale Carter in practice, or?
That's a good one.
Well, I tell you, Dale was very good, but I'm still to say to this day the best corner I ever went against was Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
He was by far the best. I mean, he wasn't technically sound. Maybe you could kind of beat him on the line, all that, but that guy's athletic ability always made up for his mistakes. And when I look at all the corners, because there were some good ones. There was the guys in it, the Raiders like Terry McDaniel, and of course I went against Woodson and Dale. But prime time, clearly the best.
Well, and our listeners would definitely want to hear what you're up to these days, where you're living at, and how things are going for you. Just kind of give us an update.
Yeah, happy to. Well, I'm actually living in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm from Portland, Oregon, but we got tired of the rain, and so we moved down here 2 years ago. My wife, 22 years, we're here, and all our kids are here, and we're definitely enjoying the area down here. Once I retired, I got involved in a couple businesses and did the kind of corporate thing for a while. But over the last 5 years, I got involved with a healthy chocolate company. So now we're actually part of a direct selling business called Shosai Healthy Chocolate, showing people how to get healthy, eating healthy chocolate. So having fun, and it's going really, really well.
Oh, it's great to hear. Going back to your days with Joe Montana, when he came in, was that intimidating? I think you alluded a little bit to that, but was he tough on you guys, wanting it to get perfect?
Well, he wasn't, Joe wasn't tough, like, verbally. He was kind of more of a silent leader, but you clearly knew that this guy was at another level, and we better step up our game. I can remember the very first play in practice with Joe Montana, and we were running an X-curl, and I remember when I ran the curl, he threw the ball and hit me in the back of the head. And I was like, uh-oh. And he calls me over, he says, I want you to understand something. I don't wait for you to get open. I throw it to an area, and I expect you to be there, so get used to getting your head around quicker. Well, from that moment on, Joe never hit me in the back head anymore because I got it right away. But just the way that he prepared was amazing. The way he would break the huddle and analyze everything, kind of like, the Peyton Mannings of today, and know what play to go to. I was just so impressed that it kept me on my game to make sure that I knew all the audibles, I knew all the adjustments, because you never knew when Joe was about to change the play.
Can you go back to October 17th, 1994, Monday Night Football, Montana versus Elway? Montana and Marty get their first win in Denver, and just that whole game, and that was a crazy game. Tracy Green, we had him on. He made a big catch at the end of the game, and then obviously with Willie Davis scoring the touchdown with 13 seconds left.
Yeah, that was a good memory because I was part of all the years where Elway was driving down with a minute or two, throwing the ball 80 yards across the field, and beating us at the end. That happened over and over. So it was nice to be on the other side. And, my memories of that game was just, we had the attitude, we're going to win this time. We're going to win this time. And LA drives the team down there. They score. We got a minute and a half or whatever. But just the confidence that Joe exuded kind of transformed to us, and we knew we were going to win this game. We're getting down the field. We're going to win this game. And I remember driving down, and that last play was X-corner, because I remember it was a corner route for me, and I got double-teamed, but you saw Joe do what he does best, go through the progression, and there was Willie Davis in the corner, and he threw it only where Willie could catch it and get right in the end zone. Yeah. Definitely an exciting memory.
One of our best memories, certainly, from the early days. I mean, also, one more play I wanted to ask you about is in the playoffs, and this involved another teammate of yours that I wanted to bring up, Tim Barnett. Joe Montana on a fourth down in that 94 playoff game against the Steelers. It's do or die, and Joe Montana goes through about 4 or 5 progressions, throws a laser to Tim Barnett. What do you remember about that play and that cold game at Arrowhead and the last playoff win at Arrowhead? That's the last one that's ever happened.
Well, to your surprise, the one thing I have to remember is the joke that Joe told in the huddle on that play. I can't remember the actual joke, but I remember the seriousness of that moment. And Joe came in and cracked the joke, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. This is not normal. But I think it was his way to relax us. But yeah, as we went through the play, I remember it was an X play. It came to my side. But Joe, again, just like you said, just his ability to be calm and not panic and go through the progressions. And I think Tim was like the 4th or 5th read on that play. But Joe knew where to put it. Tim caught it, and the rest is history.
Wow, so many great times back in the day. I mean, JJ, you've had such a great career. And what do you keep up with now? I mean, you played for 4 NFL teams. I mean, do you still consider yourself a Chiefs fan, or do you just kind of watch the NFL as a whole and just kind of take it for what it is?
Well, I definitely watch it as a whole. I enjoy it. It's interesting how the older I get, I enjoy it more. I kind of went through that period where a lot of players kind of like, I'm tired of football. I don't want to watch any football. Sure. But it's more exciting now with the emergence of fantasy football. It's gotten a little bit more exciting. But, yeah, I do consider myself a Chief. Obviously I got great memories in Atlanta. I still appreciate the Browns who drafted me. Even the year I was with Cowboys that one year. But still, I think of myself more as a Chief, and that's kind of where I'm rooting for the Chiefs first, next to any other team out there. But it's exciting to kind of watch the game these days.
Well, we're Chiefs just got to 1-2 with a big win in New Orleans. We're going to see what they can do from here. Have you been able to watch the team? I mean, how do you feel, about Matt Castle? And I don't know if you know Romeo Crennel at all from any time, but what are your thoughts on Romeo?
Well, I like Romeo. I think he's a solid coach all the way around. And I think the Chiefs are much better than they showed the first couple of games. I believe that the last game is more indicative of what we should see from the Chiefs. They should be much better than they were last year, and I think you're going to see this team progressively get better through this year. So it's going to be exciting. I'm sure they'll finish strong for sure.
You talked about the tough transition, leaving the game of football. We've heard stories about Joe Phillips. Did you have anything like that? I mean, just heartbreak leaving the game and just not being able to deal with it?
Well, no, not me, because you know what, guys? I didn't expect to play in the NFL. I mean, I'm 5'10", 160. I wasn't like a lot of these guys who expected it. It kind of happened. I'm a track guy, and I tear up my knee at minicamp, and next thing you know, I'm with the Browns, and it just kind of happened. So I took every day, one day at a time, as something, as a privilege, and hey, let me see if I can play another year. By the time the 9th year came, I had already played 9 years, and I had my share of injuries, and my priorities changed, and I want to focus more on my family and my faith and all that. But I thought, you know what? I'm healthy enough. I can walk away from the game now and move forward. And I was always planning for life after football. So for me, it was a very easy decision to say, I'm done. Next chapter, let's move forward.
Speaking about your health, you say you're healthy. Many players, there's a big lawsuit with the concussions and everything. Have you had any problems? You say you're healthy. That's great news.
Yeah, I'm healthy, but I mean, yes, I definitely fit in the category of what do you call cumulative trauma. I mean, I'm not running around here with dementia or anything like that, but I do agree with the fight that's going on for health coverage. I mean, a lot of us, we can't get covered, for certain health coverage because we've got these injuries from the past that our insurance company won't cover. I've got 2 bad shoulders that I know I'm going to have surgery on, and it's an issue with health insurance. And so I definitely understand and agree with the fight. I don't the whole concussion thing, obviously that's another chapter, but I got to tell you something. If there's anything they need to do, they need to provide health coverage for these players, especially as they age and get older, because they're having knee replacement and shoulder surgery, and the insurance is really well covered. So a fight that we continue fighting, so hopefully they'll take care of us.
Oh, absolutely. And us as fans, we want to know that the players that entertain us every day on Sundays are you want to know that those guys are being taken care of, because it's just not a good situation to have guys, in Junior Seau, for instance. I mean, do you feel like that's something that comes from just years of taking such a pounding? I mean, does it really cause psychological problems?
Definitely.
I agree.
Definitely, because I think about the concussions I had probably about 3 that was on record, but all the ones I had in practice. But I'm not a linebacker who's probably getting anywhere from 4 to 5 a game. I mean, you just imagine the residual effect of that. Yes, there's going to be some kind of result, and we're seeing it every year, every month, or every day now from what's happened to these players.
Well, I'll tell you what, JJ, we are just about out of time. I cannot possibly thank you enough. This is pure gold today with you, JJ Birden, and I really hope we can have you back on again sometime as the season progresses. Cannot thank you enough. You are the man, seriously.
Hey, guys, well, I appreciate you for thinking about me and giving me the opportunity anytime. And for all those listening, just go to www.jjburden.com and see what I'm into.
We will do it. We'll link that up on our Facebook page for you, too, as well. And just good luck, and we'll keep in contact for sure, my man.
All right, guys. Great time. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks a lot.
You too. Thanks a lot, JJ.
Bye now.